All of Us Are Dead Part 4 begins by showing Dae-soo who beats Chong-san's mother, because he did not know that the zombie in front of them was Chong-san's mother. Chong-san was instantly angry and immediately rushed to help his mother by beating Dae-soo. Soo-hyuk rushes to break up Chong-san and Dae-soo's fight, because if they keep making a fuss, the zombies will come back. On-jo and the others also try to convince Chong-san that his mother has become a zombie. He can't help but accept that fact. Chong-san then remembers the good memories he spent with his mother and regrets that his mother became a zombie. On the other hand, Hari and her friends are already outside the school building and are about to head to the tennis court. While walking through the area behind the school, one of the students named Yor-young fell because the road was muddy and slippery. The girl then asked Jimin to help her. Seeing a zombie approaching, Jimin decides to leave Yor-young and runs after her friends. Not long after, Woo-jin arrives and helps Yor-young, just before the zombie bites her. When Woo-jin and Yor-young struggled against the zombie, suddenly an arrow shot straight into the zombie's head, paralyzing it. Hari and her friends then follow Woo-jin, who is very happy that his sister is still alive and has saved her. On the other hand, Jimin turns out to be lost and separated from her friends. The girl instead runs towards the school grounds, where there are lots of zombies, and Jimin ends up being eaten by the zombies. Because the zombies started to arrive, Chong-san and the others decided to go to the school gym. Nam-ra, who can smell the scent from a distance, then tells her friends to run and save themselves because there are a lot of zombies in the school gym. Everyone was running, until Min-jae was separated from the others and had to face the zombies alone. In order to save his friends and because he doesn't want to continue to be a burden, Jun-sung sacrifices himself to be eaten by zombies, while his friends hide in the sports equipment warehouse. Chong-san and the others then realize that Jimin was not with them. Dae-soo then apologizes to Chong-san for beating up Chong-san's mother, even though she has become a zombie. On-jo also tries to calm Chong-san, who is lamenting the fate of his mother, who is now a bloodthirsty zombie. Meanwhile, at the military camp, Son-moo is watching the video footage of Mr. Lee, stated that the Jonas virus continued to develop on its own, making it impossible to find a cure. The only solution to stop the spread of the zombie virus is to burn the host's body completely, which means all the townspeople who are infected with the zombie virus must be exterminated. Son-moo then orders his troops to stop the rescue operation and increase the guard on the barricades they have built to avoid the zombie attacks. The next day, when everyone seemed to be fast asleep, Chong-san apparently didn't sleep because he was still thinking about his mother. On-jo then wakes up and realizes that Chong-san was up all night. Feeling very lost after the death of his mother, Chong-san says that he has no one else in this world, so he doesn't know what his fate will be in the future. On-jo responds quite casually, with the girl trying to encourage Chong-san to not give up and keep fighting until they all reach the safest shelter and discuss the matter further. Elsewhere, Soju is seen climbing a hilly area while wrapping a rope around each tree trunk he passes as a guide, so that he doesn't get lost when going down the hill and back to the residential area. Since everyone was awake now, Chong-san and the others then discussed how to get out of there while avoiding the zombies that were blocking the room outside. Soo-hyuk suggests that they use the trolley as a barricade, so they can get past the zombies roaming outside. Soo-hyuk's idea is well received by his friends. However, Jun-young and Mi-jin differ on how to build a barricade that is strong enough to withstand the zombies' attacks. To resolve the dispute, Nam-ra holds a vote and asks her friends to vote for Jun-young's or Mi-jin's ideas. After a poll, it was finally decided that they would build a barricade according to Jun-young's directions. Because Mi-jin seems annoyed that she lost the vote, Jun-young then says that he will take responsibility if his method doesn't work. While preparing things to carry out their plan, Chong-san found a bar of chocolate. Because they haven't eaten anything since the zombie outbreak, they eat the chocolate by biting it alternately. But when it was Dae-soo's turn, the young man actually devoured the chocolate, even though Jun-young had not yet gotten his share. As a result, everyone scolds Dae-soo for not thinking about Jun-young. Chong-san and his friends then carried out their plan, but because of the large number of zombies, they had difficulty moving the barricades to get past the zombies and rushed to the exit. Realizing that his plan is not going well, Jun-young then takes the initiative to climb the barricade and fight the zombies by sacrificing himself, so that his friends can reach the exit safely. On the other hand, Soju made it through the hilly area and is now heading to an empty building not far from Yasan High. After battling several zombies in the building, Soju finally arrives at Yasan High School and meets On-jo when the man manages to open the school gym's exit, where On-jo and her friends are trying to save themselves from the zombie attacks. On-jo really doesn't expect to meet her father at such a tense time. The father and daughter hugged each other to let go of their longing. After that, they rushed away from there, following Soju's directions. On the other hand, Gwyn-am, who has fully recovered, tracks down Chong-san's whereabouts again for revenge. Guinam meets Min Jae, who is picking up a supply of arrows, and asks him about Chong Son because Guinam smells Chong Son's scent on Min Jae's body. But Min Jae says that he doesn't know Chong Son. Guinam is angry and then attacks Min Jae. Before fully turning into a zombie, Min Jae tries to shoot Guinam in the head, but unfortunately he misses. When they want to escape to the hills and head to the city border, Soju and the students are again hunted by a swarm of bloodthirsty zombies, so they are trapped on the tennis court. Soju tries to distract the zombies by throwing flares, but it can't hold the zombies any longer. So Soju asks Anjo and her friends to save themselves immediately, while Soju will sacrifice himself to be eaten by the zombies in order to save the lives of his daughter and others. Seeing the sacrifices made by her father, Anjo was devastated, but she had to rush off with her friends to a safer place. Arriving at the empty building, Anjo and her friends still have to fight against the zombie attacks that are there, until they finally manage to hide on the side of the window of the building being renovated. Anjo still looks so sad and frustrated at her father's sacrifice. Chong Son then hugged the girl tightly, trying to calm her down. Just like Anjo when the girl cheered Chong Son after seeing the condition of Chong Son's mother who had turned into a zombie. Chong Son is now also encouraging Anjo with the same sentence, where they will now strengthen and encourage each other, and think about the next step if the situation is completely safe from the zombie outbreak attack. Meanwhile, at the military camp, Yoonji manages to free herself and is now able to move freely in the room where she was confined. In an experiment, Seonmu and his men finally find out that Yoonji and other zombies are very sensitive to noise, which raises an idea in Seonmu's mind to stop the zombie outbreak from spreading in Yasan City. They will use noise to lure the zombies somewhere, and after that the zombies will be annihilated with a missile bomb with a large explosive power enough to destroy them all. While hiding with her friends, Namra's zombie instincts reappear, where the girl feels hungry and thirsty for blood so that she almost bites the neck of Soo-hyuk, who is next to her. But then, Namra, who is still controlling her consciousness as a human, then bites her own hand so she doesn't hurt Soo-hyuk or the rest of her friends. Soo-hyuk, who knows Namra's suffering, then hugs the girl and asks Namra to just bite him, instead of Namra being tormented by hunger. After calming down a bit, Namra then tells her friends that she heard the sound of helicopters as well as the conversation of the soldiers who were planning to blow up several places in Yasan City to destroy the zombies. Anjo and the others are shocked to hear this. They also plan to immediately leave and look for a safer hiding place because their current location was quite close to Yasan High School, which would be the point of explosion. Not yet had time to leave, Guinam suddenly appeared and attacked Chong Son, then bit the young man so that Chong Son turned into a zombie. After Guinam was successfully dropped from a height for the umpteenth time, Chong Son then asked his friends to get out of there immediately. Because he will turn into a zombie, Chong Son tries to attract the attention of the zombies so that his friends can save themselves from there. Meanwhile, the military forces are preparing a detonation plan by hurting the zombies using loudspeakers mounted on drones that are deployed to certain points. The swarms of zombies began to follow the sound of the drone. Seonmu is forced to take this solution in order to stop the zombie outbreak that will reach Seoul if it's not dealt with immediately. Although this is considered inhumane, because in fact there are still many residents of Yasan City who managed to survive the zombie attacks and are now hiding somewhere. Before leaving, Chong Son gives Anjo his name tag indicating that he really likes the girl, and hugs Anjo very tightly. Chong Son then asks Soo-hyuk to protect Anjo and his friends. Chong Son then entered the building and lured the zombies to attack him. The young man managed to outwit the zombies and plunged them from a height, before finally Chong Son faced Guinam again. The fight was unbalanced because Chong Son hadn't completely turned into a zombie, so he was badly beaten and couldn't fight back when Guinam poked out his left eye. After the zombies had gathered at a predetermined point, Seonmu immediately ordered his troops to blow up the place and annihilate the zombies. At the same time, knowing that Yasan High School and its surroundings will be blown up, Chong Son uses Guinam's body as protection from the huge explosion that occurred there. After ordering a massive indiscriminate extermination of zombies, Seonmu then orders one of his men to take command, while he returns to his room. In his room, Seonmu makes a video recording of himself saying that he is the one responsible for the massive extermination he was forced to carry out to stop the zombie plague from spreading to other cities. Even though he knows that there are still many survivors, Seonmu still carries out his plan. This is in contrast to Mr. Lee, who didn't even have the heart to kill his own son and wife, because Mr. Lee still has compassion even though the family he loves has turned into zombies and forgotten about him. Seonmu then apologizes profusely to his family and to all Yasan City residents for his actions that have cost the lives of many people. After that, Seonmu decided to kill himself by shooting his head. Seeing the dust left from the explosion flying in the air, the The survivors who are in quarantine realize the cruel actions taken by Seonmu to stop the zombie outbreak by costing the lives of thousands of people who don't turn into zombies out there. Luckily, Anjo and her friends manage to escape in time and avoid the explosion that engulfs their school, wiping out their zombie friends. During the escape, Dae-soo sustains an injury to his leg, so they decide to postpone the trip to the border and rest until morning. The next morning, Anjo plans to return to the empty building to find out where Chang-san is. Accompanied by Soo-hyuk and Nam-ra, Anjo rushes over there, while the rest of her friends wait and rest. When they got there, Nam-ra said that she didn't smell the scent of Chang-san's body or the other zombies, indicating that Chang-san's body might have been burned to the ground. Anjo can't hold back the tears and pain she feels. Nam-ra then hugs Anjo, trying to calm her down and encourage the girl to continue living for the sake of those who have sacrificed their lives to protect them all. After the explosion, the military forces began to patrol the entire city to ensure that the zombies were completely annihilated. They then put leaflets in various places to indicate that the place is safe from zombies, or is still very dangerous and must be avoided as much as possible, because there are still some zombies who manage to survive the devastating explosion. Returning to Anjo and friends who continued their journey towards the border, Woo-jin realized that they had been lost all along. Ha-ri then finds a ribbon on some tree branches and Anjo immediately notices that the ribbon was intentionally tied by her father as a guide. Anjo also finds her father's flashlight that fell there. Elsewhere, one of the National Intelligence Service agents who investigated the zombie outbreak in Yasan City then went to evacuate Mr. Lee's son and wife. Surprisingly, they did not immediately kill the two zombies and instead moved them to a place. After following directions from her father, Anjo and her friends managed to arrive at a residential area near the border. The area is still covered in dust and shrouded in thick smoke, but Anjo and the others find no zombie bodies. Nam-ra then tells her friends that a swarm of zombies is approaching them. They rush to escape. Thinking that he was just a burden because he was injured, Dae-soo then asked his friends to leave him. But Soo-hyuk and the others insist that they will never leave anyone and will protect each other. Soo-hyuk and the others then take various objects around them that can be used as weapons, and work together to face the zombies. In the attack, Woo-jin sacrificed himself to save his sister's life. Ha-ri is devastated that her younger brother is now a zombie. Since she was unable to kill her own brother, Nam-ra finally killed Woo-jin with one fatal blow. While continuing their journey to the border, Nam-ra is again seized with the desire to eat human flesh. Not wanting to hurt her friends, Nam-ra decides to sneak away from her friends. However, Soo-hyuk and Anjo notice Nam-ra's departure, so they both decide to find Nam-ra first. The two then find Nam-ra who is eating the flesh of the zombies. With her zombie instincts still taking over her body, Nam-ra immediately attacks Anjo, trying to bite her. Soo-hyuk can't bear to hit Nam-ra, until Nam-ra finally wakes up after Anjo says that they are friends. Nam-ra, realizing that she was starting to lose control and almost hurt Anjo, immediately rushes away from there as far as possible because now she's starting to have a hard time controlling the zombie instincts that are trying to completely control her body. Unable to find Nam-ra's whereabouts, Soo-hyuk and the others continued their journey. When they arrived at the border, the military troops who were guarding there immediately pointed weapons at them. After that, Anjo and her friends are taken to the military camp to be quarantined for a while being interrogated about what happened because they are from Yasan High School where the zombie outbreak began. 3.5 months later, the residents of Yasan City who were in the quarantine center were asked to stay there because the Disease Prevention and Control Task Force had not yet been able to recognize the criteria for the Jonas virus which causes people to turn into zombies. Especially after knowing that people who appear normal can also be infected with the virus, as happened to Yoon-ji. However, donations and aid continued to flow from all over the country for the residents of Yasan City who had to stay in the quarantine center, because the central government had not been able to end the quarantine period for the residents of Yasan City due to the zombie outbreak. In the evening, Anjo is seen climbing the wall of the quarantine center, then walking towards a nearby hill, where Anjo apparently has been writing her feelings on a ribbon she tied to a tree branch, and also put some snacks nearby. In the message, Anjo writes about her longing for her friend, Isak, and her wish for Nam-ra to be back with them, as well as her feelings for Chang-san. As she is about to return to the quarantine center, Anjo sees a bonfire in the distance coming from her school building. The next day, Anjo then tells Soo-hyuk about it. Anjo assumes that the person who made the bonfire was Nam-ra because the girl once said that she wanted to sit around the bonfire again with her friends. Therefore, Anjo asks Soo-hyuk to accompany her to the school building and find out who made the bonfire. Because it is quite dangerous, Anjo also asks Soo-hyuk to keep it a secret from their other friends. That evening, when Anjo arrives there, it turns out that not only Soo-hyuk has come, but also her other friends. After visiting the tree to place snacks and messages, they see a bonfire in the distance, just as Anjo said. Anjo and her friends then head to Yasan High School, which has become an abandoned building after the explosion. When they arrived at the roof, they found the bonfire still burning, but found no one there. Not long after, Namra suddenly appears and the girl is in better shape than the last time Anjo saw her. Namra says that it was her who made the bonfire. Anjo then asks Namra to come back with them, but Namra refuses, saying that they will still be friends even if they don't live together. Namra also says that she still has work to do with people like her, because there are many people out there who are like Namra, Yoonji, and Gwinnam, people who are infected with the zombie virus but still look normal. After that, Namra said goodbye to her friends, then jumped off the school roof. The series ends by showing Anjo and her friends, who look very surprised when they see what has just appeared in front of them. What do you think Anjo and her friends saw? Was it Changsan who managed to survive the explosion and turn into like Namra, or something else? There are many unanswered mysteries in the first season of this series, which indicates that it is very likely that the series will continue into the next season. Many moral messages from this series, in particular, are about the bullying that underlies the zombie virus outbreak in Yasan City, where Mr. Lee, who couldn't stand seeing his son always being bullied, then had the ambition to create something to help his son become stronger and able to fight the bullies. However, his experiment caused a disaster that spread throughout the city. In this series, we are also shown the various bad and good sides of humans when faced with critical situations and must survive by killing or being killed. However, between the cruelty and ruthlessness shown, there are struggles, friendships, and sacrifices based on true love and affection, as shown by Soju, Changsan, and their friends who are willing to sacrifice for the safety of others.